Pastor, why do I need to be open with my Christian friends and pastors? I feel ashamed sharing my issues.
Wound healing comes from speaking, talking. In Psalm 32 and verse 3, it says, what does it say? When I kept silence. Amen. When I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. Amen. My bones waxed old. Mercy. So silence, there are people who have made themselves no comments. I don't want to talk about this. And verse 4 says, for day and night thy hand was heavy upon me, and my moisture is turned into the drought of summer. So silence, when I kept silence, all right, my bones waxed old. One of the punishments of the enemy is to not be able to speak. You see, it's very difficult to be in solitary confinement. It's worse than death. That's why people kill themselves and want to die when they go to prison. No speak to anybody. You just sit there all day long, from morning to evening, every day for 40 years. Honestly, it's not a small thing. Yes. They go crazy. Yeah. So keeping silence and not having anybody to speak to, and not speaking and not talking, keeps the wounds alive. And I've found that sometimes Satan will harm you and tell you no one will understand you. Don't speak. When you speak, it will be worse. So it says, when I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. If ever I've noticed a sign of a troubled person, and a person who is going to be some way and have certain difficulty, is people who have kept silence. Talking. Sometimes even you've even confessed something already, but talking about it, because you know that everybody is thinking about it. Everybody is thinking about it, but no one is saying anything. And talking changes things. So sometimes you see people in relationships, people with mistakes, everybody is quiet. Marriage is one of the things that people are really embarrassed about. It's like, oh, Charlie, I know I can't even say that in my marriage, this is what is happening. Do you see? Yeah. I can't even say that in my marriage. Can you believe that my husband is like this? Or can you believe that my wife is like this? I said, they'll keep silent and rather iron a brown political suit up and down and a brown blouse and whatever to wear together to church on Sunday to go and show the world that we are together. You see, we are wearing matching brown clothes. Do you see? But you are dying inside. As you are moving with your spouse, say, can you believe this? But you see, if you are to speak, you'll see that your bones will not wax old. Amen. And healing will start to come. Then the person you go and speak to will first say, I have the same problem as you. Yes. Amen. So speaking generally, one of the works of the devil is to put you in a trap and tell you, don't speak. Don't ever talk. Be quiet. Keep it to yourself. And as you keep it to yourself, it eats you up. Because you think to yourself, when I open my mouth, it will not be well. But when you open your mouth, rather, it will be well. If you ask me as a pastor, if I look at my congregation, I say, this one doesn't talk. This one doesn't talk about this. This one says nothing about this one. Says that. I know the people that are trouble people. Not trouble for me, but trouble for themselves. So be released from your deaf and dumbness, which Satan has told you, hey,